She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We are really blessed that you decided to join us today. Today, I just know is going to be so liberating for you. We're going to be talking about anger and control. Do you have people that control your life? In fact, I have a question for you. Who is controlling you? Here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day, we bring content to you that liberates you in business, money, and in relationships. And relationships have so much to do with your earning power in the marketplace. And so many of our goals seem to not include relationships. In fact, today, our society is just constantly throwing us images, telling us that success looks like stuff. Well, I went after all the stuff. After being a homeless woman, I made my first million by the time I was 23 years of age. Today, I'm a mother of 5, grandmother of 7. And I have learned that relationships are far more important than stuff. And we had a lot of challenges, especially my husband, Hans, and I have had a lot of challenges in the last 25 years that we've been doing the wild thing together. And wow, I believe that success needs to be defined by you. You need to define success for you, just as I need to define success for myself, instead of taking what everyone is telling me success is supposed to be, because I have certainly followed a big pile of lies that just ended up making me feel terrible about myself. Or I chose to feel like a failure even after having great financial success, but my relationships were completely toxic and I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. So here every day, we want to see you liberated, being the person in business, in money, and in your relationships, it being the perfect definition for you personally, your makeup, what you were designed to be. So today we're going to be talking about that. Who is controlling your life? Now, I know you might have an idea and say, oh, I know the answer. That God is in control of my life. Really? Do you have people in your life that are provoking you? Right? Do you have anyone in your life that just gets your goat, as they say? Is it your spouse? Is it your kids? Is it your boss? Is it your coworkers? Is it your employees? Is there somebody that just gets under your skin, kind of like an IV needle? You know what I mean? I just had some blood work done, right? It's, that vein right there. You know what I mean? And they just like stick it right underneath your skin, right into that beautiful vein right there. They didn't even give me a sucker. I was a good girl. They didn't even give me a sucker. But I'm talking about getting under your skin. You see, if you really look at your life, are you in control of it? Or have you allowed other people to control you? Have you allowed them to get under your skin like that IV needle? Have you allowed them to get your emotions all riled up to a place where you burst out in anger? There's a certain personality we talk about at First Steps to Success, which is our training seminars, 3 days of intense training for your career, for your money, and for your relationships, improving these 3 very important parts of your life. But at First Steps to Success, we do a teaching about personalities and identifying the strengths and weaknesses in those who are living and working with you. There's one particular personality that usually is very calm and is quite patient and can handle, it seems that they can be around people who are like crazy and yet they still manage to keep their cool a bit until that moment. You see, they get walked on a lot. They get taken advantage of a lot. And then all of a sudden, they manifest like a principality of darkness, like a monster, a fire-breathing dragon. Wow! Can you see the teeth and the spit and the fire and the tongue going everywhere? And then after they explode all over you, they're going, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I can't believe I did that. I just was beside myself. I just can't believe I did that. There's a reason why that happens. There is a reason. And that particular personality, they like to stuff their emotions, stuff their feelings, stuff their hurts. And then all of a sudden, and then there's their opposite personality that just like lets their emotions out all the time. And they let their mouth and emotions, they're in unison. And just, hate you. You know what I mean? I can't believe you did that. They just freak out. They have no self-control at all. They just, freak out all over everybody and then generally don't say sorry later. They feel completely justified for their actions. But today we're going to talk about putting the controls back into your own heart, back into your own emotions, because they're your emotions. No one can make you feel anything. But what is the response, right? What is the result, if you will, to you blasting out and being out of control? What is the response that when somebody has they got underneath your skin, they started pulling one fingernail off of your fingers at a time, and then bam, you're out of control. So who's controlling you? Let's identify who those people are today. Could it be the sweet little gray-haired, curly-headed, purple-haired lady on the freeway? The town we live in has a lot of people that are retired. And so does she have control over you? You don't even know her. Does she have control over you? Who is controlling you? And what impact does anger have on your life? We're going over the phones. We got Don Hill on the line from Edmond, Oklahoma. Don, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thanks, Dani.
So tell me, what part does anger play in your life? What have you learned from having other people control you?
I've learned that anger made me see things through a skewed lens. It made me think that more people were attacking me or against me when I was choosing to hold the offensive anger. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that once I learned to release that and forgive those people very quickly now, I'm not trapped in a dungeon. I really felt like I was trapped and I couldn't get out. And the one I was really mad at and angry at most of the time was me. But I was lashing out at everybody else.
So interesting. Let's talk about the first thing that you talked about. So that anger kind of skews your view, right? It kind of gives you a false perspective. Give me something specific that you can remember what anger did with that particular scenario.
Well, when I was growing up, I was assaulted by a therapist, and my anger about that, I put that on my mom because I felt like that was her fault. And so it really jarred our whole relationship for years. And I didn't even realize it, but I held a lot of things against her thinking she should have protected me, she should have stopped them. But the anger made me think it was all her fault. And it in almost every instance, it made me put it on someone else. It made me blame instead of take personal responsibility.
Yep. When did you come to that place of taking personal responsibility?
Well, only about 5 or 6 years ago, I started to toy with it, and I really saw the effects of forgiveness and taking responsibility for my actions in things after creating a dynasty in 2012.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a Creating a Dynasty graduate.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Okay, so for those listening, they have no idea what we just said, but Creating a Dynasty is our advanced leadership conference, 3 days and nights, equipping you to succeed. And part of the liberating a person is helping them to get over the things that are pulling them back and even discovering what is actually holding you back. Okay, so I want to talk about that because anger does. It actually is like, it's not rose-colored glasses, it's just like dark black glasses. And now you see everything that everyone is out to get you. Everyone is not for you. You can't trust anyone. These are those glasses that we put over our eyes and we can't see the full truth. And the reality is that perception is not reality. Perception is not reality. We use 10% of our brain. That's all we use of our freaking brain. We use 10% of our brain. And here we could say, like in your case, right? A therapist assaulted you. And so you're a young person. And so right away, we're not taught to take responsibility for our feelings or our hurts. Isn't that strange that our first knee-jerk reaction is to blame someone else? Isn't that crazy? Instead of going, I was assaulted by a therapist. This sucks. I am scared. I am hurting. I'm really ticked off about this. What do I do? Right? These are my feelings. I own my feelings. But what we tend to do as humans, especially uneducated humans, and I'm not talking about formal education at all, but people who don't walk in wisdom, I am talking about who I was, that I want to take my feelings and I want to put them on someone else, right? I want my mom to own my feelings. We have to own our own feelings. and deal with our own feelings and forgive whatever it is that we're doing. Now look at that. So now you end up with a therapist you needed to forgive and a mother.
That's right.
All the while playing the victim card, right? Which you were a victim in that situation. However, blaming your mom, you were no longer a victim. Now you were the accuser.
Right.
So in this case, not owning our feelings causes us to accuse. We become the accuser of other humans, shifting blame onto them. Mommy wasn't there. I mean, how was she supposed to protect you, right? We have this terrible perception, don't we, that our parents are supposed to be God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're supposed to be all-knowing, all-seeing, all-ever-present. No, that's not who they are. They are humans, and that's the bottom line. Wow, so Dawn, I'm so proud of you that you went through first steps to success and creating a dynasty, and in that you discovered this major thing that was holding you back, and that was a hurt that came from someone else that then you disposed your own feelings and hurt onto someone else, became an accuser of someone else, and that whenever you accuse somebody, and you don't take responsibility and you begin to blame, now anger rises up. That's what rises up. Now I have a question for you, Dawn. Was it just anger towards your mom? Or was this thing called anger like towards everybody?
No, I didn't like anybody. I don't like people. I mean, when you got down to it, I just used them and manipulated them to get what I wanted. Period.
Look at your transparency.
Wow. Well, it is who I was. Thank God it's not who I am.
Wow. This is incredible. This is incredible. And that's how it is, because once we have that first hurt and we don't forgive, instantly we do not forgive that person, which that word forgiveness means to release. If you were taught to release as a little girl and to walk through those emotions and those feelings and those hurts and to release that person freely, to forgive them, to release them, she owes you nothing. Could you imagine what kind of relationship you would have had with your mom?
Yeah, luckily God restored our relationship, and I have that relationship now because when I came home from creating the dynasty, one of the exercises was to write 3 letters, and I fought with God for a week even after, and I wouldn't write that letter, but finally sent a text message. And even through the text message, I saw her countenance change, and our relationship begin to restore.
Dawn, it takes amazing courage. Look at that, man. Look at that. Unforgiveness is ripping up a relationship that didn't need to be ripped up, but our God is faithful, and he restores through the power of releasing people and forgiving them. Man, it's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Dawn. This is awesome. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Coming up next on The Dani Johnson Show, Dani exposes the common relationship problem that might be making your life miserable right now. Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Oh, he just makes me so mad. Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Today we are talking about who is in control of you. Is it your spouse? Just your husband just driving you crazy? Is it your wife? Oh, she's such a nag. She just gets under my skin. Is it your kids? Oh, they just won't listen. Or is it your coworkers, your employees, your boss? Is there somebody that's just getting your goat? Is there somebody that's just like provoking you? You know, kind of like that kid on the playground who knocked you down, threw you down on the pavement, and then tied down your arms and then bam, 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 bam on your chest? Have you ever felt that way? Feel like you're completely trapped? You feel like you are out of control, and then certainly you are out of control. Who is in control of you? Well, here's something that I unfortunately had to learn the hard way. I used to blame my husband all the time. I did. I blamed him for my lack of self-control. Because he was like the only person that I would just go, wah! You know, he knew how to say the right things to make me just go, is there somebody in your life that knows how to do that? And then I came across this incredible piece of wisdom. And here's what it said. Love is not provoked. Love is not provoked. That was like a 2x4 hitting me in the eyeballs. It was. And then in the back of my head and then over my backside. I'm telling you, that was like, what? Love is not provoked. You see, you can find a lot of people in your life. In fact, I even had a counselor tell me this. Well, Dani, you were provoked, so don't feel too bad. You were provoked. So, you should have reacted. Like, no, I should not have reacted. And this was somebody that was a biblical counselor. And then here I find in the Bible, my best success book by far, okay, the best success book ever written, in my personal opinion of success, is the Bible. And here it said, love is not provoked. Like, oh, gosh, I justified being provoked, and I justified my lack of self-control for a long time, like 2 whole decades. I justified it and was waiting for him to change. Are you waiting for the others to change in your life so that you will have self-control now? That's where I was, literally up until like 2.5 years ago. Isn't that pathetic? Seriously. So are you waiting for your boss to not provoke you anymore so that you don't flip out? Are you waiting for your coworkers to act right so you don't flip out? Are you waiting for your wife or your husband or your kids to act right so that you don't flip out anymore? Come on, friends, so that you don't respond in anger, you don't respond in rage. Come on, it doesn't work that way. You are in control of your own feelings, and no one can make you feel anything. You own your own feelings. Think about that for a minute. You own your own feelings. They're yours. No one can make you feel anything. You choose to react. You choose the feelings that you choose. And feelings, by the way, are not always true. They're really not always true. Think about this for a second, friend. You use 10% of your brain. So do I, okay? And that's probably on a good day. I don't know. Some days I think I'm at about 4%, but we use about 10% of our brain. So think about a scenario, right? Some disaster that happens. You're perceiving 10% of the disaster. And if you're anything like me, you like to argue the facts. No, this is what I saw. These are the details. I was there. This is what I heard. Okay, I've really worked on this the last 2.5 years. And wow, it's been a transformation in my life. It's been a transformation in my marriage especially. So if you like to argue the details, you have to know that you actually have only perceived 10% of the details. That you say 100%, this is exactly what happened. You can take 10 people looking and experiencing the same exact thing, and they're going to have 10 different perceptions. They're going to remember some of the same details, but largely a whole lot of details that you didn't. And you're like, no, that didn't happen. This is not leadership, and that is not success. And here on the Dani Johnson Show, come on, you know the deal. You know the rap, man. We bring you content, challenging content to liberate you in your career, with your money, and in your relationships. And you have to define success for you. Success for you must include relationships. It must include healthy, harmonious, passionate relationships. And the way to healthy, harmonious, passionate relationships is you owning your own feelings and let other people own their own feelings. You don't have to take their feelings on to you, and you don't want to put your feelings on to someone else. And you also need to realize to have successful relationships, to be successful in your career and with your money, friend, you must realize that you only use 10% of your brain. And you only remember 10% of the actual details that happen. So quit arguing and freaking out and allowing your emotions to get all crazy when they shouldn't. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue after this.
In your face and in your corner. You've never had a coach like this before. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First steps to success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first steps to success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process, over the last 4 years, and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experience different things, and we experience a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there was someone in our church, the pastor, and so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing, the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Have you ever been in a situation where you lost it? If you just said, nope, never, you're a liar, man. You're such a liar. No, of course you've been in a situation where you have lost it, right? You can feel the blood boiling underneath your skin, right? You can feel the heat coming out of your eyes, the steam coming out of your ears and out of your nostrils. Can you see the bowl? Right? We've all been in that situation, but I got to tell you about this passage that one of my coworkers found. It's an incredible piece of wisdom. A man who has no control, and a woman, a man or a woman who has no control over his spirit is like a broken down city without a wall. Oh, that has been me before. What about you? Listen, when you allow other people to control your emotions, and how do you allow other people to control your emotions? Because you blame, you take your feelings and you dispose them on them. You got to take personal responsibility for your feelings. And it's important to feel them, and it's important to discern truth from lies in your feelings. You see, feelings are neither truth nor lies. They're just feelings. They're just indicators of what is going on inside of you. That's all feelings are. They're indicators. Sometimes they're completely lies, and sometimes they are totally solidly in truth. I say keep the good ones, get rid of the bad ones. But when you allow other people to control your emotions, your thoughts are consumed by that person, that circumstance, and that emotion, you're in big trouble. Because what happens is that you now can take your feelings, listen to me carefully, and your feelings, if you rehearse those feelings again and again and again without discernment and without wisdom, those feelings become beliefs. Yes, that's how beliefs are created, is through feelings. So those feelings become a belief. And now that belief, when it's repeated again and again, begins to come out of your mouth. And then your feet follow what your mouth is speaking, because life and death is in the power of your tongue. And out of the overflow of your heart, your mouth speaks. So let's break it down and make it plain. All right? I hated men, and I did not trust women. Why? The man that raised me molested me, okay? He also badly, violently abused me. My mother did nothing about it. So here, these feelings that I had from being molested, from being, dragged by my hair across the room, shoved up against walls, to be cursed at by a man that's almost 7 feet tall. Okay, this is my stepfather who adopted me. Because of that, I didn't know what to do with these feelings or these emotions, right? So right away, it's like, she's not protecting me. My mom's not helping me. My mom's not doing anything, but she's watching us be bloodied and she's not doing anything about it, right? So here, distrust towards women, hatred towards men. So these feelings, I can't trust anyone, okay, became my beliefs. And my beliefs hurt my financial life, my career, and it hurt my relationships. It really damaged my marriage. It really hurt me in all areas of my life because I brought this belief that came from what? Being hurt? Yes, I was a victim, but I didn't need to keep the victim card going. I didn't need to now blame other people for what had happened to me. I need to take personal responsibility what happened to me. Dani, you were molested as a kid. Like, how do you take personal responsibility for that? No, it's what I did with my feelings after that is what I take personal responsibility for. What I should have done was forgive. Forgive the perpetrator. Forgive. Release them. Be done with that and move on with a fresh, clean slate. So we're talking about anger today. We're talking about who is controlling you. We're talking about how do we no longer allow other people to control our lives. We're going over here to Erin Campbell. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani.
Hi. So what part has anger played in your life?
Well, I grew up in an emotionally abusive home where I wasn't allowed to feel anger, or at least I wasn't allowed to
show it
in anger.
Yep.
And it really felt like I was being taught that emotion equaled a loss of control. So as I continued to grow into an adult, that feeling of loss of control then made me feel like I had to respond in anger. It was almost the inverse was happening. And it wasn't until I backed away from the relationship with my mom that I realized, wait, I do have control over this, and I've got to make a choice and stop blaming people for what I thought that they had done and stop using this displaced anger in front of my family and my kids.
Yeah. How did that feel when you discovered that this displacement of this anger, right, that you were putting that now on your children? When you discovered that, how did that feel?
It was heartbreaking because I realized that I was repeating the abuse. Yeah. And that, I think that was the most heartbreaking thing. And that was my aha moment where I realized, no, this has got to stop.
Yes.
I cannot continue this pattern. I've got to do something to help me and make sure that this stops here. The buck has got to stop here.
Amen. Amen. What brought you to that revelation? What was the aha moment? Where were you? What was taking place?
It was a culmination of things. Mm-hmm. Part of it was when I decided to stop contact with my parents. But in the back of my mind, that came from hearing at First Steps in Cincinnati. You had talked a lot about forgiveness. This was back in 2014, and I so desperately wanted to forgive my mom.
Yeah.
But I realized that if I allowed the abuse, then I wasn't going to be able to come to a place of forgiveness because there was going to be repeated offenses. So I realized the abuse had to stop, and then it was also several different times where I realized after I had shouted at my kids, for something small, that not only was I repeating the pattern, but I was teaching them what to do. And once I took ownership and realized, okay, anger is a feeling that I have got to get control of, and I can stop, and whatever needs to be said can wait. That I think it was just one of those moments where I realized, wait, I
can't keep going. So what's going on with your parents now? How have you reconciled that relationship?
Well, currently we are still not in contact. Mm-hmm. I discovered over time that my mom is actually a narcissist. Mm. So at this point, it is best for me to stay away from continued abuse. And she's continued to push the boundaries And it really is not wanting to forgive me or reconcile with me in a way that doesn't allow her abuse to continue.
Yeah.
So please pray for her, pray for the situation, and pray for our family.
Yeah. Erin, let me just say this, because you know my background. You've been to First Steps, and I just kind of let it all hang out in the amount of time that we have. I mean, it's a crazy background. But what I can tell you is that there's been times where my mom and I were separated, and there'd been years of not talking. And it wasn't my choice, it was her disowning me. And sometimes when you lay down some healthy boundaries, sometimes that happens to where the person that, my mom's a drug addict. So when you're dealing with drugs, you're not dealing with a person, you're dealing with the drug and the response of the drugs and the person. But one thing I can tell you, my mom and I are in cahoots with each other, and we have as healthy as you can have a relationship. But what I want to make sure that you do is this. I want you to not put any labels on your mom. I want you to make sure you have fully forgiven her. Even make a list after we're done talking. Make a list of 10 things that you need to forgive your mom for. And I want you to thoroughly release your mother. And because what happens when you thoroughly release her, something changes, like even in the atmosphere, even in the spirit, if you will, to where there's an opening that can happen. And now we can have, as healthy as you possibly can have, a relationship. Because what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to set yourself up for failure by not honoring your mother and father. That's a promise. And I don't want you to not receive that promise of honoring your father and mother, which comes with a long life. And not only that, but you're going to reap what you sow with your own children. Do you understand? So we only perceive 10% of any situation because we only use 10% of our brain. So that's why I really want you to work hard on the fullness of forgiveness of your parents and the emotional abuse in which you suffered. I want you to renounce the words that my mom is a narcissist. Unless she's been diagnosed by a professional, you're not a professional unless you are. Are you a psychologist?
Nope.
Okay. Have you given your mom a test?
Nope.
Then we're not going to call her mom a narcissist. Okay, because that is a real mental disorder, and there's a series of tests that one goes through to be diagnosed with such a thing. And so what I would be doing is I would be choosing to love and to honor. So what I did with my mom the second time that she disowned me is I sent her cards telling her how much I loved her. In fact, even just recently, just saying thank you for everything you did to put up with me from birth until I moved out of the house. Like, you worked so hard. Now, was there a lot of things wrong? Yes, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize the midnight feedings, the 2 a.m. feeding, right? The 3 o'clock feeding, the 5 o'clock feeding, for however long that I decided to stay up through the night, and all the times I pooped my pants, how many times I peed the bed, how many times that I wouldn't eat my green beans. Come on, all the stress that I put on my mother that I've never said thank you. Thank you, Mom. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for loving me. Thanks for giving me your best. Erin, I suggest you do that and do it quickly. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
So what did Dani do to take back control over her own life? The answer might surprise you. It's coming up next. Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
My name is Andris and I'm from Latvia. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a struggling English teacher back home. I had a language school that I started when I was 21 and had grown it to be pretty okay in my city. But at the same time, I had acquired a debt of $60,000. In a matter of 8 to 9 months, I got rid of my debt. And by 2011, we had our first $1 million year. This has been amazing. We grew our school from about 100 students to 2,000 students. And I can only highly recommend for you to come to the next event and be part of this community and learn the tools that will help you to succeed.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, my family and I were hemorrhaging under the pressures of debt. Since attending First Steps to Success in January of 2014, my family and I have paid off over $147,000 in 19 months. We're completely consumer debt-free. We have restored relationships, and our business is growing at a rate of 15% at every event. Your next step is to sign up for the next First Steps to Success and start creating your own story.
My name is Jeff Conyers, and prior to First Steps to Success, I was a struggling business owner. I had discovered that my business account went negative $5,000, and I realized that I did not have a business plan and I needed to do something. Fast forward to 1 year after, I have now created, just by implementing the tools at First Steps to Success, over $50,000, created another business, improved my personal and business relationships. Man, it's like the story is forever changing, and it just gets better and better. I don't know about you or what you're going through, but I would highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, we were drowning under a mountain of debt. We were heading to divorce court. We had failing businesses and toxic relationships. Since plugging into First Steps to Success, our marriage has been restored. We have paid off over $56,000 in 11 months. We've helped our community pay off over $300,000 in 14 months. My business has grown in over 600% in 4 months. And for the first time, I could say I'm just loving life. I have great relationships. So if you are fine where you are, then this event is not for you. But if you're ready to reach your goal and to change your life, then I highly recommend that you get registered for the next event.
Hi, my name is Jill Kearns. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Prior to coming to First Steps to Success, my husband and I were struggling financially and were hurting in our relationship a lot. We needed more time together, and we just were struggling with that because of the finances. And so since plugging in, we've actually paid off over $280,000 in debt. We're completely debt-free, and more than anything else, the look on my husband's face of relief and excitement about where our future lies, and the traveling and the fun, enjoyable times that we'll get to spend together as a family is totally worth it. So if you want to have better relationships with your significant other, your children, if you have a desire to be completely debt-free and released from that bondage for whatever reason, whatever the burdens are, your next step is to get to First Steps to Success right now.
So prior to getting started to DaniJohnson.com, I was a college dropout. I was working a bottom-of-the-barrel type job. I started plugging into her training. I've skyrocketed through the ranks of corporate America. I've tripled my income in the last 5 years. That's all fine and dandy, but it wasn't, there's a part of me that had the part missing, so I ended up using Dani's prospecting skills, and I ended up meeting the love of my life. Since then, we've paid off $32,000 of debt since October 2014. So get here now. This is the greatest thing ever. You have to see this. The skills and strategies Dani teaches are unbelievable. They totally took someone like me with no education and helped me just like multiply my efforts. So you need to be here.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one.
Life is just filled with all kinds of hurt, right? I mean, every day some of us are enduring. It's almost like it's war, living this life with other people, whether it's war with the kids, it's war at work, it's war in the home with the spouse. Sometimes it just seems like it's war. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome back to the Dani Johnson Show. We're talking about today about who is in control of us. Are we in control of our own lives, or are we giving over the controls to other people because of our lack of self-control, and we're allowing other people to provoke our anger from us? That is who I was for more than 2 decades, actually, in my adult life. Okay, literally just 2.5 years ago, I finally decided to look at this one area of my life, and that was the area of me being provoked. There was one person in my life that could provoke the worst out of me, and vice versa. I could provoke the worst out of him. You could probably guess who it was. Anyway, so I finally had to come to that place of, hold on a second. If I really believe in this definition I've created for myself for success, and that means good, healthy, harmonious relationships. Of course, not all relationships are going to be good and healthy all the time, because there's other people in your life that want to not have a healthy relationship and that are not healthy themselves, or toxic people that could be family members that you can't control them, right? They are what they are. They do what they do. But the fact is that I had to come to a place where I had to take personal responsibility for my feelings and stop saying, you make me feel like. No one can make you feel anything. No one can. You choose your own feelings, and feelings become beliefs, and beliefs become actions. So be careful what feelings you choose. And you have to understand, you can't put your feelings on someone else. You have to take responsibility. So here today, we're talking about who's in control of you, and it's time to take the control back. That's why it's called self-control. You have access to self-control. One of the biggest impediments to self-control is unforgiveness. It is. Anger comes from unforgiveness. That's where it comes from. It comes from bitterness and resentment. Unforgiveness, bitterness, and resentment. When we house it, and it doesn't matter who we're housing it towards. That's something I learned recently, right? I'd been in a situation where, something very terrible was going on, and wow, when I discovered it, like, right? You just want to, And what I started to do with not forgiving quickly, I forgive the surface of it, but man, it was still just nagging at me. That anger that was rising up in me, and that blame, right, and the resentment that started to stew in me started to bleed into other people who had done nothing to me. All of a sudden started to go, I don't know if I could trust him. I don't know if I could trust her. I don't know. This isn't worth it, right? So right away, because of this one situation and this one person, okay, then it started to bleed into other people who were innocent and precious and wonderful and awesome in my life, and yet I started to build up some walls. So that's what happens with anger. That's what happens with unforgiveness. That's where it comes from. And so how you are going to be free from allowing other people to control you is simply this. You must forgive. Who do you need to forgive today? Who do you need to forgive today? Because if you're having rage in your life, if you're having uncontrollable anger that's just, exploding, and it's something that happened 5 years ago and you're still exploding about it, you got to deal with this, friend. You have to deal with this. Your personal definition of success must include healthy relationships. It must include harmony with other humans. Otherwise, stuff cannot fulfill you the way awesome relationships can. Stuff will never fulfill you. But the people that you live with, the people that you work with, the people that you meet, how you are communicating with others, this brings satisfaction. And you might be like I was. You hated people. We hate people because we can't trust the people. Okay, going over to the phones, we got Michelle White from Traverse City, Michigan. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Girl, tell me, anger, what part did it play in your life?
Thank you for having me, Dani.
Yeah.
My mom and my dad, my stepdad actually, would get mad with each other. They would accuse each other of things. They would struggle with finances, adultery, arguments, resentment, their own inadequacies, my mom's hormones, and
that's a whole nother disaster in the mix.
Yeah. So she would get angry for whatever reason, the rolling of the tides. It didn't matter, and she would take that anger out on me.
Yeah.
And it would be physical abuse and emotional abuse.
Yeah. Man, you know what? I just love that you just said that, because I hope that there's a mother or father listening right now, or even a coworker listening right now, because we can get upset and then we take it out on someone else. I've done that. We've all done that. Today is a reminder, we cannot do that anymore. We cannot do that today. We cannot do that tomorrow. We cannot do that moving forward. And so how do we break that cycle? You have to forgive. You have to forgive. You see, your mom didn't forgive. She held on to it. She stewed. She festered. It's like a festering, pussy, disgusting, green, oozing wound with blood in it. It doesn't help our lives to succeed. Thanks so much for sharing. We got Kathy Walker from Gatesville, Texas. What about you? What part does anger play in your life, Kathy? Kathy, are you there? Did you mute yourself, love? Your line is open. We can't hear Kathy. Okay. Going over to Francis Krebs from Arlington, Texas. What about you? How is anger playing a place in your life?
My mom was killed 4 years ago in a motorcycle accident. And the man that she was married to was the man driving. He ran a stop sign and ran into a trailer.
Wow.
It killed her, and he got 4 broken ribs.
Ouch.
He rebuilt that motorcycle, drives around it, on it every day. Lives his life. And just hearing his name, seeing him if I'm on the road, anything, it just, I'm going to run over it.
I know. Oh my gosh, girl. I know. I just literally walked through this. First of all, not my mom's death. I'm so sorry, by the way, about the loss of your mother. I cannot imagine how insanely painful that is. I'm so sorry you had to suffer through that. And I understand the feelings that the face, the name. In fact, there was somebody in my life, even recently, like, I don't ever want to hear that name again. For as long as I live, I don't ever want to hear that name again. But Frances, you have to come to the place of realizing that this is killing you. This is killing you. This is eating you alive. They have proven that unforgiveness leads to cancer. It literally eats you from the inside out. And honestly, the way for true vengeance to come in this circumstance is for you to release that man. To release him so that you can be free, so that you can move on, so that you can enjoy happiness, so that you can enjoy trust of other people, so that you can have joy again, so that you can have fulfillment in your life. Because this man right now, you are giving over your emotions to him. And I say, cut it off. Release him. Release him. Everyone has a different way of dealing with grief. Some people run from it. That's obviously what this man is doing. That's how he's dealing with it. You're dealing with it, anger and rage. Girlfriend, trust me, it's going to kill you. So the only way to live and to truly to have vengeance come up is for you to live in joy and you to live in absolute freedom. If you're listening to me right now, make a list of people you need to forgive and release them today so that anger doesn't rule your life anymore. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is The Dani Johnson Show. Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace, and God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
I think you're awesome. I really do. And we here at DaniJohnson.com are really grateful that you are such a faithful person to tune into this show every day, whether you're listening on the radio, on the Dani Johnson app, or you're listening or watching it on television, or you're watching it on YouTube. Whatever format it is that you are participating in this, even watching it on your smartphone from our website, we are really grateful for you, and we really believe in you, and we believe that you're taking awesome strides to improving your relationships and your money and your career. You know, I recently heard a story of a man who'd been tuning in and watching the show each and every day for the past year. He was able to pay off a tremendous amount of debt just from what he was learning from the shows. He also was able to mend some relationships, grow in his career, as well as a business on the side. The man has blown my mind what he has done. I'm so excited to be able to get to meet him here in a few weeks because he's going to be attending a live event at First Steps to Success. But it just made me go, wow, look at this. These precious people, good people who are dreaming, good people who want something better for their life and better for their finances and better for their career and better for their families. People who want to be better people. It's such a rare thing to draw a community together, for us to be able to come together the way that we're coming together, and especially with shows like this. Today is a good reminder, don't you think, that yeah, anger, we need self-control. How do we get to it? What's the step to getting to self-control? Forgiveness is the step. Releasing the people so we're not responding the way that we were before. And you know, when I think about real problems, I mean real problems, I look at my life and I go, oh my gosh, I used to freak out about every little thing. Whether it was and I look at it now as a little thing because it was a little thing. My perception then was it was an enormous giant, but in all reality, hindsight is 20/20, it was small. When I look at real problems like Candida, who is living in a community with 282 homeless families. She's in her 60s. She's been poor her entire life. They live at a dump, literally, and they sift through the trash every day, the stuff that you and I throw away, to find food to feed their children, as well as things to sell, like plastic things to sell, so they can buy food for their families. Could you imagine? I mean, that's a real problem. Dealing with major health issues and, you know, insurance, there is none. Is there health care? There is none. Not in this place in Nicaragua. This tiny little place where it is forsaken. People have nothing. They have no food. They have no homes. They have no clean water. And yet we have so much luxury and we're still complaining about it. This community has joined us on this amazing adventure of building 1,000 homes in the extreme poverty areas in Nicaragua, so close to where we're at, 2.5-hour flight from Texas, 2.5-hour flight from Florida, and yet such extreme poverty like we don't experience here. And I promise you, friend, join me on this adventure. If you go to kingsransom.org, at least learn about what it is that we're doing and join us on this. You can, give $1, give $100, give $1,000, give $100,000, give $1 million, and help us build these homes. But more importantly, spread the word that we can transform villages together as we do something purposeful with our life. I hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.